Maybe if you allow me, I will make the presentation in English. If you all understand, it will be more fluent. So shortly, even if we know each other, I'm working at the Burgundy University. I had my first school training as an electrotechnician. Then I make history studies, and now it's working as a PhD in landscape management and working for the university and the region office as a project manager. The presentation will be almost like an illustration of Dragomir Konstantinov's previous presentation. So the Burgundian region, it's really kind of a center-east region of France, really old, and there is an ancient specificity with the climate and the relief. Like there is mountains, and since prehistoric period, people crossing the country were obliged to cross Burgundy, Dijon, there, and it makes the region an hospitality region for centuries and centuries. And also because of the climate, it's really a good opportunity for people living there when you combine sun and rain, and so for the agriculture, it's really really cool for the region. It's really ancestral region with a lot of mythology, and also with the Gallic past and the war with the Roman. There were a fight with Vercingetorix, the leader of the Gaulois, and here you can find a really ancient place just before the Greeks, with Delos and Athens. With this is a kingdom place, but now we know that it was also an oracle place. People from all over Europe came there to know the future of their life, even kings and queens. And so there were a lot of archaeological research on the place to know more about geography and topography. And in Burgundy we were specialized for the National Geographic Institute, making maps for all of France. And the first satellite making maps there were building in Burgundy. So it was really rich place. This is like 2 meters high iron vase, and for all the centuries, the knights, the kings, the popes, they give money to the Burgundy to show that they were more nicer, more richer than one between others. And during the medieval age, the Burgundian dukes, they would to be independent from the kingdom, so they decide to be apart and to show the richness. And it was the Golden Fleece legend beginning, La Toison d'Or, which is like the Greek myths, the richness and the Amazonian and the lost world. You know, they would to make it in Burgundy. So they show richness, and all the museum, they are full of gold and jewelries that even now nobody they go there to see it, because there is too much. And so it becomes a place to be independent from the kingdom, and it was like a huge amount of richness and beauty. And by the way, the Dijon is one of the only one city in France, because of the dukes and the independence, that they built the city outside of invasion and war possibility to destroy the city. So it was out of a river, out of any place that the invaders, according to the king, could go to the city to destroy it. So it's a city beside, it's really plate city, and it's atypic in France. With the modern age, the city want to become, in this idea, really independent. And like Cyrano de Bergerac, it was a libertine city, and because of the struggle of the religion, that they try to hide themselves inside gardens, and all the house, they are really hidden place, beautiful, but when you cross the street you don't see it, just besides. And it came to this kind of project just before the French Revolution, where Burgundy was able to take all the taxes from France. It was salt, the salt taxes, and it became really a rich place, showing how they are able to manage the taxes for all the country. In the most recent age, France became like a centralistic vision of Paris. So everything is going to Paris, and this is the bicycle tour in 1908, and it shows that Paris want to show the round circle of the city, of the country, and Dijon is not inside this circle. Even in 1964, it's the first decentralization process in France, and Paris decided to do like the bicycle tour. They didn't include Dijon inside, but bigger cities like Strasbourg, Marseille, or Lyon, or Bordeaux, or Toulouse. So it makes a round trip to France, but Paris can control it, and it's really far, so they know that nobody will go there at the time.
What is the population of Dijon?
It's 10 years ago it was 80,000 people, and now it's 250,000 people in 10 years.
Wow.
And in 1980, the city of Dijon realized that, hey, we are outside of all the national process, and we are rich, and we are real natural region. And I will show you right now that the city, to protect itself, like we call the city of Dijon La Belle Endormie, the beautiful sleepy girl, decide to be a part of the national treasure and heritage. And also with all the products, the wine and the foods and the landscape heritage. So it began a process, but also to change habits and process. As you can see here, it's maybe not useful, but this is the highway around Paris and going South France. And Dijon, the roads go beside, because the vineyards owner and the mayor of Dijon say, oh, the car, you go outside of the city, you stay outside. So the highway go beside Dijon, and there is no tourism in Dijon. There is tourism in Beaune. It's a smaller city, but it's rich like Dijon. And so every Japanese, American tourist, they went to Beaune to drink wine and to see the beautiful city. And you see, this is a small city, twice smaller than Dijon, but you've got like big roads crossing the city, and Dijon, they refuse it. In Beaune, it's like 30,000 people. And as you can see on a recent map, the big roads, they really cross around the city. And it's the same with the boats crossing over the region of Burgundy. The big boats carrying food or resources, they stop in Auxerre, and they have to bring in trucks all the content, and they are going to Chalon-sur-Saône. So because they refuse to cross the Dijon city. It's the same for the railway. This is the European railway map, and because of the history of Dijon, it doesn't cross Dijon. So the city has to fight what we call stereotypes. Sometimes it helps because it's lovely to see French with la baguette and the beret, and but it's also for us it's sometimes bad image, you know, like we are old traditional people, and we're making jokes about this, hopefully for us. And the city of Dijon decided to take back the environment, and so it becomes, they put a lot of money to become a really gastronomical city where you can appreciate time and back to the hosting image of the city and the region. So there were, since 1970s, a lot of movies and restaurants and famous people, they are coming to Dijon and they try to change the image, kind of a more sexy image, you know, to attract people and to hit with premium products, as we call it in marketing right now. So, and there were, in the same time, consciousness about heating. France becoming a lot of fast food restaurants, and there were a lot of reflection about if we eat like this, we will eat the world, and the end, and we are eating to fat. And Dijon, they try to make something more sustainable in the heating companies. So there were, we were specialized in agro business with public health. And the hospital in Dijon, the research hospital, is working with the World Health Organization for making new standards in heatings. Also with the European crisis, with the meat, which is a big part of the Burgundian products, with le charolais, which is a big cow, really, really nice. They made a traceable product to know that it's real Burgundian products, and they try to teach people about the fast food also with the meat, because from the 1990s USB crazy cow problems, that there were a lot of publicity in France, commercials that saying that here in our restaurant the meat is 100% French, but doesn't mean that it's 100% good meat, because like in some foreign country outside Europe, to have tender meat, they destroy the nerves with ultrasonic ray, and so the Burgundian, they say, oh no, we have a real traditional meat, good meat, so we have to say it and to show it. And it was like a process. Even with the phosphates, Burgundia was one of the first regions to fight for additive chemical products in the environment. And it was crazy because we realized that for swimming pools, the phosphates, they are forbidden, but not for alimentation. So we say it's crazy, we have to change this process. So there were a big educational process to say be careful of what you are eating with the fast food or supermarket industry. And so this is a national reduction of using phosphates, and Burgundy 4 years ago was one of the region reducing most, more than 80% of the phosphates. And it became a global thinking of how we can be sustainable in Burgundy. And so we work with New York City and the European Parliament in the Association Energy Cities to try to know how we can reduce our energy consumption. And this is a European map, as you can see how we can produce and lose energy. And so we try with the Geographical Institute to make maps of what the heat in natural heat in France, so then we can compare it to the human consumptions in the region. And we work also with the environmental agency to fight those stereotypes that all the problems they are from the other, and me as a human being alone, I can't do nothing because it's with like acting in the sea and nobody will see it. So we try to fight those stereotypes and make some monitoring system, analyzing for the local authorities and for the companies and for the people, how to help them, how to reduce and to know and to show how they consume energy, food, mobility, transport, and so on. And so it's a website calculating the process, and we are transposing it all over France. And now, so we can know better how it's making a process or increasing of consumption. And it was a nice training to prevent the rise of the price of oil in France and in Burgundy. And in the same process, not just to be like a teacher saying you are bad and you are good, we try to work with all the companies, and like you with IKEA, we did it for furniture, but also with the fast food company, because they are in Burgundy, and private communication marketing company, Synergence, they work with the worldwide McDonald's franchise to transpose the monitoring consumption into their own restaurants. And so they start, because they save a lot of money, they say, oh, we can use it to change also our image, like the Burgundian region did it. So we developed this kind of software, and now we transpose it in schools, in public restaurants, and for all the municipalities in Burgundy. And we are trying to understand if it's working or not, and how we have to sustain people to do this. So it makes impacts, and in that way we work also with the French Ministry of Environment and Urbanism to concentrate all French experts for a new economical model, because it's just not to work on the grassroots level, but we also want that there is a new change. And for example, for a new law change, we need a new economical model. So we are working like this. Also, we are thinking about the Rob Hopkins transition manual in .NET in England, and we are applying this model into mobility, personal consumption, with hobbies and social activity and technology, to know if a popular neighborhood of Dijon can change the technology, the habit, and for something better. So we used one of the most popular neighborhood of Dijon. So this is the historical center of Dijon, and the Fontaine Douche is right beside there, and it's far away from the real Dijon people, but it's one of the most, and it becomes the most natural part of the city. Depends on which side you look the neighborhood. Sometimes it's the greenest neighborhood, and sometimes it's the most urban neighborhood. It's what we call some recently urban neighborhood. It's between urban and rural neighborhood. And the city of Dijon and all the region, they realized that, we were selling tourism with the richness of the region and the gastronomy, and we have one of the best wine in the world, so we have to make more focus on the vineyard tourism, like a kind of ecotourism, but it was not consciousness ecotourism at the time. So they tried the postcard imagination. You can see a really beautiful landscape in the world. You can recognize because they are unique, and they try to know what is unique in Burgundy. And because of the famous Vauban buildings that they were to the UNESCO protected label, they decide to an experiment to protect not just the vineyard but the whole landscape around the vineyard, that we call it climate, and it's a try to show people and tourists that if you want to protect the environment and the landscape, you have to protect everything. So there is a UNESCO labeling process with 350,000 people that sustain the process. But right now, France didn't accept it already because they had to protect the old volcanoes in Auvergne, which is a protection from a former president of France. So, but maybe in 2 years it will be accepted by our country. And to protect the vineyard, we had also to help the owners and the farmers to know what is the real soil and what is the real delimitation of all parcel, because in a few meters in Burgundy you can have a soil what it costs thousands and thousands of euros, because it's one of the best wine in the world, Montrachet, Pouligny-Montrachet, and so on. And just a few meters beside, it costs nothing because it's just a table wine. So we decide to use laser detection with a plane to scan the soil and to know what the real process of the soil. So we can make 3D modelization of the soil and better understand this. And because it was, they have money in the vineyard sector, we could apply it to archaeology and also to urbanization process and modelization. So there is team at the university, they can create new maps. It's really easy to make scenarios to know what happened with urban sprawl, or if we destroy this building, what will happen, or if we put all tourists in a way, what will happen to the rest of the city, there is crowd or not. So it was really useful, and they use it to make a new kind of modelization to protect and to make a new identification of our heritage. And in Cluny, there were the most bigger church of Europe, but it was totally destroyed. Well, there is still a part of, and so we used the LIDAR, the scanning 3D system, to make to reconstruct the whole church. And so with the iPad and with the smartphone, you can come to the tourism office and you can see with the reconstructed reality what was the church, and you can cross inside it. For example, there you can see how it becomes and how it was before. So it helps to it was a good tool also to help the local authorities to understand their own heritage. They give a lot of money, but they didn't realize it. And the business school of Dijon, they count that Burgundian region, they spend almost 550 million euros to protect their landscape and heritage. So they decide to go in a other direction. So this is the reconstruction of and they start to say, okay, we have investments in cities, so we have to protect it and to show it. So they try to begin to go to kind of sustainable cities. It starts with a city of Auxerre, which is north of Burgundy, but it's really old, and with sense it was the model to build Paris. So they start to protect this really old village, really typical, and the English people, they like to travel across Burgundy on boats, and the city of Auxerre is magnifique. So it was the first city making like an eco neighborhood. It was really new in the region, and then they realized that they could protect and to also to promote the local products, and Burgundy is the second producer of wood in France. So let's make a house with wood, and so we are more sustainable than in another parts. But there is still a big problem: the huge, rich city of Dijon. It's a monumental city with beautiful and massive buildings, like I would say Sofia. And this is a picture of Dijon in 1960. There were already a second tramway, and you have like bicycle, and so it was a kind of sustainable city. But then, because of the car and the tourism, we had to rethink how the tourism is in the city of Dijon. So they try to change the image, not like just a monumental with museums, but try to be more green city. And they try to do like in Amsterdam or Vienna, to be a kind of a writer city. So it's peaceful city, you can be quiet, and you have good imagination for the future. And we were thinking maybe it's just greenwashing, maybe it's just commercial stuff. But we had in Dijon a kind of most efficient public transport system with bus. It was EcoBus, Greyhound, the public bus, and they decide to rebuild a new railway tramway system crossing the city north and south, and so they use it to change the image of the city, and they stop using the museums and the huge buildings, but they start to make like green spot around the city. They use it also to make new buildings. It's one of the first French passive building that you with a little guy. He was making this iron system, and it changed. It's followed the sun in winter and in summer. So it's more cold or it's more warm, depends. And it's an independent system for heat and for the climate. And so they try to transpose the system in new buildings, but it's not always easy because, for example, just across this building, the new administration for all the schools in Burgundy, they build a new structure on the same way, but because the people working inside, they are afraid of a closed building to let the heating and the ventilation process, the cooling process, it has to be closed, and people, they want to open windows. You know, it's like claustrophobic people.
Okay.
And when you open the window, the whole process is shut down. So we are thinking now to not educate people, but making a manual for buildings. So it's a new project also for the region, and also to put the more sustainable way in all neighborhoods of the city of Dijon. They put like heaters buildings. This is one with a wood system, because we have sufficient woods. So, and it supply all the neighborhood of Les Grésilles. And we try to do the same with working with Mainz in Germany. They are really efficient for passive campus and a green campus. So we did it on at the university, and we used the tramway system to heat the whole campus system, so we can heat the campus for free. And we had also to change the habits with cars, so they make new place where the car can't go. So it's just pedestrian system, and one emblematic view, it's the main street in Dijon called Rue de la Liberté, and it's the Freedom Street. And they decided to, was 5 years ago maybe, photography, when you see there is people, the street is beautiful, but there is a huge way in the middle, and it was quite difficult to receive a lot of tourist people and visitors, and having a bus crossing you, it was like awful for everybody. So they decided to change the street. So this is the last month. It took 2 months. They realized that there were huge problems. It's like gas problems, because there were telephone, internet, gas, electricity, and everyone did his own cable, and it was crazy. So they decided, okay, we change everything. We make a huge tunnel, and everything goes inside. So it took 1 month more, and the shops and the people, they were crazy. But now it's become really a nice street, and there is a lot of people crossing there, and everybody is happy. So they used this, and in the other neighborhood of the city, to become more eco-friendly city for everyone. So there is a lot of neighborhoods really green, and now there are 8 eco-friendly neighborhood building in the city. There is some example. This is not a real passive eco-friendly neighborhood. They just use the term, but this is a real one, and so it really changed the city in a global way. This is new main place. 3 months ago it was just cars crossing everywhere, and horning everywhere, and now it's really fluent, and people, they can sit and drinks, and so it's more friendly city. And so we use it also in high schools, in university, in engineering schools, to teach the new trainings, and that's
Благодаря на Франк Дюбуа. Предполагам, че всички сте доволни от презентацията. Аз само искам да кажа 2 неща, преди да дам думата на Лини Сезонова. Първо, че този град, аз съм го видяла в развитие, и всичко това, за което той разказваше, по някакъв начин съм го преживяла и беше вълнуващо да го видя. И второ, може би... Исках да кажа, че Дижон е един град, с който съм толкова емоционално свързана, че ми беше много приятно да го видя. Видяла съм всичко това, за което Франк говореше в неговата еволюция. Беше изключително интересно да се наблюдава. Това устойчиво, динамично устойчиво развитие на града. И това, което той излезе от цялата му презентация, но аз все пак бих искала да го повторя, да наблегна на него, е, че това нещо не би било възможно да се случи без едно тясно партньорство между различните видове, както ги наричат в момента, много е модерно да се наричат актьори, действащи лица в града, в областта. Това са от една страна образователните институции, университетите, научно-изследователските центрове, това е администрацията, общината, бизнеса, местните общности, различните поколения. Т.е. без тази симбиоза между различните видове погледи към света и подходи, това нещо не би могло да се случи. И затова смятам, че това е един много добър пример. Не казвам, че колегите от Дижон ще кажат, че има много кусури, те имат много проблеми, за които тук нямаше време да говорим, пък и да сме се събрали да обсъждаме добри практики. Но това партньорство, това сътрудничество е изключително важно и на мен много би ми си искал да видя един град в България, в който така дружно да заработи община, бизнес, образователни и научно-изследователски институции, местни общности, граждани. В София започва да се заражда един процес, но в такъв голям град като София на мен ми е трудно да си представя колко лесно може да се случи такова нещо. Затова и решихме тук да се концентрираме върху един град, който е доста по-малък от Дижон, доста по-малък е от Бон, като Чипровтси, но пък който дава възможност заради неоползотворените си ресурси и който би могъл да тръгне по един друг път на развитие. Трудно е да се направи устойчив град от голям град, мегаполис. По-лесно е вероятно да се мисли за един по-малък град, как би го могъл да бъде развит по устойчив начин. Това беше от мен за сега. И сега бих искала, всъщност ако имате въпроси към Франк, сигурно имате много такива, ще му ги задавате по време на приятните моменти на отмора, защото за съжаление твърде много се напреднахме с програмата.